If you're a man over 60 and you've been feeling like your body just isn't cooperating the way it used to, the stiffness in the morning, the energy that seems to disappear before noon, the brain fog that makes you feel 10 years older than you actually are, then I want you to stay with me for the next few minutes, because what I'm about to share with you could genuinely change how you feel every single day. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm not here to make wild promises. What I am here to do is tell you about something that has been quietly studied by researchers around the world, something that men over 60 are only now starting to hear about, and something that your doctor may have never once mentioned during your annual checkup. Not because they don't care, but because it's simply not on most medical radar screens yet. That plant is called Moringa oleifera, and by the time this video is over, you're going to understand exactly why so many health-conscious men in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s are starting to add it to their daily routine. Before I dive in, I want to ask you something. How many mornings do you wake up and feel genuinely energized, clear-headed, and ready to take on the day? Go ahead and drop your answer in the comments below. One word is fine. Never, sometimes, rarely, or always. I read every comment, and your answer is going to help me understand what you're going through so I can keep creating content that actually serves you. Now let's talk about moringa. Moringa is a tree. It grows in tropical and subtropical regions, parts of Africa, Asia, and South America. And for centuries, it has been used in traditional medicine systems across those cultures. Every part of the tree has been used: the leaves, the seeds, the pods, even the roots. But it's the leaves that carry the most concentrated nutritional and medicinal value, and it's the leaves that have been studied most extensively in modern science. So what's actually in moringa leaves that makes them so powerful? I want to paint a picture for you, because this is where it gets genuinely impressive. Gram for gram, moringa leaves contain more vitamin C than oranges, more potassium than bananas, more calcium than milk, more iron than spinach, and more protein than most plant-based foods you'll find at the grocery store. On top of that, they contain a remarkable group of plant compounds called isothiocyanates and flavonoids, natural antioxidants that help your body fight oxidative stress at the cellular level. And oxidative stress, I want you to understand this, is one of the primary drivers of aging. It's what damages your cells, inflames your tissues, weakens your immune system, and contributes to nearly every chronic condition that men over 60 are told they just have to live with. When you start reducing oxidative stress through nutrition, you give your body a real fighting chance to heal, recover, and function better. Now let me tell you specifically why moringa matters so much for men in their 60s and beyond. Because the benefits aren't just general wellness talking points. They're specific, they're meaningful, and they connect directly to what men your age tend to struggle with most. Let's start with energy and fatigue. One of the most common things I hear from men over 60 is that they're tired. Not just a little sleepy, genuinely deeply fatigued in a way that rest doesn't seem to fix. Part of what drives that fatigue is a gradual decline in mitochondrial function. Your mitochondria are essentially the tiny power plants inside your cells, and as you age, they become less efficient. Moringa contains compounds, particularly coenzyme-related nutrients and B vitamins, that support mitochondrial function and help your cells produce energy more efficiently. Several studies have shown that regular moringa supplementation is associated with reduced fatigue and increased physical energy, particularly in older adults. And the men who notice this change often describe it not as a jittery, artificial boost, but as a steady, clean kind of energy that carries them through the day without a crash. Next, let's talk about inflammation. If you have any kind of joint pain, stiffness, back discomfort, or just a general ache that seems to follow you around, inflammation is almost certainly playing a role. Chronic, low-grade inflammation becomes more common as we age, and it doesn't just affect your joints. It affects your heart, your brain, your gut, and your immune system. Moringa is one of the most anti-inflammatory foods that nature has ever produced. The isothiocyanates I mentioned earlier, particularly one called moringin, have been shown in lab and animal studies to inhibit inflammatory pathways in the body in a way that's genuinely comparable to pharmaceutical anti-inflammatories, but without the side effects on your stomach and kidneys that those drugs often cause. Now, I want to be clear. This doesn't mean Moringa is a medication or a substitute for medical treatment, but as part of a healthy lifestyle, it can make a real difference in how your body feels day to day. Now let's talk about something that doesn't get discussed nearly enough: blood sugar regulation. Even if you've never been diagnosed with diabetes, the truth is that insulin sensitivity naturally declines with age, and most men over 60 are dealing with some degree of blood sugar fluctuation that affects their energy, their mood, their weight, and their cognitive function. Multiple human studies have found that moringa leaf powder can help reduce fasting blood sugar levels and improve the body's response to insulin. One study published in the journal Phytomedicine found significant improvements in blood glucose control in participants who took moringa leaf powder consistently over a period of weeks. This is meaningful because better blood sugar regulation means more stable energy, fewer cravings, better sleep, and a reduced risk of the downstream complications that come from chronically elevated blood sugar. Let me talk about your heart now, because cardiovascular health is one of the most critical things for men your age. Heart disease is still the leading cause of death in men over 60, and much of that risk comes from high blood pressure, high LDL cholesterol, and arterial inflammation. Moringa addresses all three of these pathways. Studies have shown that it helps lower LDL cholesterol, the type that contributes to plaque buildup in your arteries, while preserving or even raising HDL, the protective cholesterol. It also contains natural compounds that help relax blood vessels and support healthy blood pressure. And because of its anti-inflammatory properties, it helps protect the arterial walls from the kind of damage that leads to atherosclerosis over time. You're not going to replace your cardiologist with a plant, and I'm not suggesting you try. But as a daily nutritional tool that supports cardiovascular health from multiple angles at once, Moringa is hard to beat. Here's one that surprises a lot of men when I mention it: brain health and cognitive clarity. Many men over 60 notice that their thinking feels a little slower, their memory isn't as sharp, and they struggle to concentrate the way they used to. Some of this is a normal part of aging, but a significant amount of it is driven by oxidative stress in the brain, declining neurotransmitter production, and chronic inflammation that affects neural tissue over time. Moringa contains neuroprotective antioxidants, particularly quercetin and chlorogenic acid, that have been shown to help protect brain cells from oxidative damage. Animal studies have also shown that moringa extract may help increase levels of key neurotransmitters, including dopamine and serotonin, which play a direct role in mood, motivation, and mental clarity. This is an area where more human trials are still being conducted, but the early evidence is genuinely promising, and many men who incorporate moringa into their routine report feeling sharper and more mentally present within weeks. Let's talk about testosterone and male vitality, because this matters deeply to men over 60, and it rarely gets a thoughtful, honest conversation. Testosterone levels in men decline by roughly 1 to 2% per year starting in their 30s, and by the time most men reach their 60s, their testosterone is significantly lower than it was in their prime. This affects energy, muscle mass, libido, mood, bone density, and even cardiovascular health. Moringa doesn't act like synthetic testosterone. It's not a hormone, but it does contain zinc, which is one of the most critical minerals for testosterone production, and it contains natural compounds that may help reduce cortisol, the stress hormone that, when chronically elevated, directly suppresses testosterone. Some early research also suggests that moringa may support the health of the endocrine system more broadly, helping your body's own hormone-producing glands function more effectively. This is an area where research is still evolving, but the nutritional foundation that moringa provides, zinc, magnesium, B vitamins, antioxidants, genuinely supports the hormonal environment your body needs to function at its best. I also want to mention prostate health, because this is something almost every man over 60 thinks about, whether they talk about it or not. The prostate tends to enlarge with age, leading to urinary symptoms that can significantly impact quality of life. While I want to be careful not to make medical claims here, some early research suggests that the anti-inflammatory and antioxidant compounds in moringa may help reduce prostate inflammation and support healthier prostate tissue. More research is needed, but given everything else moringa does for the body, the potential benefit here is one more reason it deserves a place in your daily nutrition. So how do you actually use moringa? The most accessible form is moringa leaf powder, which you can find in most health food stores or online. A typical starting dose is 1 teaspoon per day. You can stir it into water, blend it into a smoothie, or mix it into yogurt or oatmeal. It has a mild, slightly earthy taste, and most people find it easy to incorporate once they've done it a few times. Moringa capsules are also widely available if you prefer a more convenient option. Some people start with half a teaspoon and build up gradually, which is a smart approach if your digestive system tends to be sensitive. One thing I do want to say clearly, and this is important. If you're currently taking medications, particularly blood pressure medications, blood sugar medications, or blood thinners, please have a conversation with your doctor before adding Moringa to your routine. Not because it's dangerous, but because it can be genuinely effective, and in some cases, that effectiveness can interact with how your medication works. That's a good problem to have, but it's one your doctor should know about. What I want to leave you with today is this. Getting older doesn't have to mean feeling worse every year. Your body has an incredible capacity to respond to the right inputs, the right nutrition, the right movement, the right rest. Moringa is one of those inputs. It's not magic, and it's not a cure for anything, but it is one of the most nutrient-dense, well-studied natural foods available to us right now, and the evidence that it supports energy, inflammation, blood sugar, cardiovascular health, brain function, and male vitality is growing every year. You've spent your whole life taking care of other people, building things, showing up. Now I want to encourage you to invest that same energy into taking care of yourself. Not because you have something to prove, but because you deserve to feel good. You deserve to wake up with energy. You deserve clear thinking and strong mornings and the kind of vitality that lets you fully enjoy the years ahead of you. Start small, be consistent, and pay attention to how your body responds, because your body is always talking to you. You just have to give it the right things to work with. If this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And drop a comment below telling me, have you ever tried Moringa? Or is this the first time you're hearing about it? I'd genuinely love to know where you're starting from. See you in the next one.